Hello everybody, my name is Tenelin and welcome to the second early access patch for Hades 2, released on June 4th, 2024. Let's go ahead and take a look at these patch notes. Now I have read through everything already and I have to say there are a lot of fantastic changes, but most of these changes are pointed at weapons. There are not a lot of boon changes. I guess the boon changes will be in the next patch, as it says up here, but most of these are going to be for dataless hammers and just aspect weapons and the standard weapons in general. Let's go ahead and take a look. Just so you know, any of the shade icons are the changes that are inspired by community feedback. They just kind of show you what they are looking at and what they're seeing from the community, and allows you to feel like you maybe had a say in what was going on. I think it's a great thing. So, first things first, you can now encounter up to one additional Olympian each night, the same as it was in Hades 1. Allows a little bit more boons and a little bit more build variety. I think this is fantastic. I'm very happy and excited to see what this does. You are now likely to find one more boon or other major reward in Erebus, another fantastic change that allows you to get your build going a little bit earlier. Erebus kind of felt like it was a lot of minor rewards, and it didn't really let you get an idea of what your build was in the first zone, which kind of felt weird. Especially for speedrunning, this will allow you to get a little bit stronger, a little bit quicker, and we'll definitely see some faster times in this patch. You have increased invulnerability duration after your Death Defiance effects activate. I hope this helps with the Chronos problem that you have sometimes, where you just get stun locked as he does one slash, leaves a line on the ground, you lose a Death Defiance, the slash explodes, you lose another Death Defiance. Not a fun and enjoyable experience. So hopefully they'll give us maybe a couple extra frames, or maybe even a full second of invulnerability after your Death Defiance to make you feel a little bit better. Improved rewards of Ash and Psyche can now be found in Oceanus and the rest of Thessaly. Cool, that'll just help people get their upgrades a little bit faster. You can press and hold to repeatedly harvest from the Crescent Pick outcrops. This will just make it so you don't have to sit there and button mash when you're trying to mine. Cool. Toolo should now stay closer to you in the encounters, especially in the Fields of Morning. Maybe actually make it so you can get a little bit more attacks from her when you're dashing. Tula, to me, is a little underwhelming, but I did see that one guy clear the entire game with only Tula attacks. Took him like 2 hours, but it was hilarious to watch. Nemesis no longer offers Death Defiance items if you do not need to refill the effect. This one was really weird. I only had it encountered once, but I ran into Nemesis. She threw down a Death Defiance for me. I already had 3. I thought, hey, maybe I'm going to get 4. Nope, I just wasn't allowed to pick it up, so I'm glad that they fixed that. Reduced gold cost of Selene's boon when available in Charon's shop. Cool. Minor adjustments to the order in which Olympians may first appear early on. And I wonder if this goes into the idea of, a lot of people were complaining about how if you get Selene as your first buff, when you enter a run, you're kind of set to get a lot more Selene because the game does push that the continuation of that buff, where you're kind of in this weird situation where a lot of people don't like getting Selene, so the runs felt bad when you got Selene as your first boon. I wonder if that's part of this balance. We'll see. They don't really specify here. Okay, so because there are so many changes to the weapons, I don't think these patch notes do them justice. I'm going to just go ahead and read off what they say, and then I will cut away to show you what is actually going on with weapons. So, first off, the Witch's Staff. The special knocks foes away, is slightly slower. The Omega special is faster. I think this is a fine change. I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, when we get into the Witch's Staff for Circe aspect, the adjusted activation and duration of the Serenity effect. Serenity now adds Omega bonus damage that scales with this aspect's rank. So first, I don't have my Circe upgraded because I'd never used it before. It used to be 21 hits to be able to get Serenity. It is now 12, a significant reduction in actual usable number in my opinion. The Serenity damage is 40% at base. That's level 1. That means it will scale up to 120% at max rank, I believe. I think this is a good change. You'll see that I charge up my Serenity a lot faster here. And when you actually do get it, you get about 3 hits off in time with the Serenity buff. I messed up there, but I did test it out earlier. You'll get 3 full Serenity hits if you use it properly there. I think that's a great change. Next, we have the Witch's Staff, the Momus aspect. It's been completely reworked. Each of your Omega moves automatically fires several times in succession from where you use them. This changes from the previous special, which was a just general power boost to your special attacks. You now use your Omega attack to place down essentially this turret that fires 3 times towards your target. I don't know how I feel about this one. I believe at lower levels it'll be about half a second slower per level. 1.5 seconds feels okay. I think anything faster would be too strong, but I don't know. I don't particularly enjoy it. I think it's a weird change overall, but I don't think it's a bad change. It still just gives you a little bit of extra damage, especially if you're just doing the special spam Momus. Now you just get the Omega attack firing as well. I think for the investment of just like that 1 or 2 seconds, I think this ends up giving you increased DPS. Not a bad change. These shots on the staff overall are slower. That's going to be a little bit harder to make it so you can hit some of those faster enemies. Next up are the Sister Blades. The special staggers standard foes longer, and your attack visual effects better match the hitbox. I played around with this a little bit. I didn't really notice the effects on the attacks being better. I still think you hit a little bit further than they show, but it's not that big of a deal that I'm bothered by it. Your special will stagger attacks. Again, you're not going to notice this immediately, but you will notice it in your runs when things are running at you and you stagger them a little bit more. The only aspect change that this one had was the Artemis Blade now has block again if the effect recharges while you are channeling. So before it had some weird timing issues, and block now takes priority over dodge and similar effects. Nothing really to show off here, so I'm not going to show any clips. Overall, the blades are pretty much the same. After that, we have the Umbral Flames. I think this is the biggest change that we've had this patch, and it's fantastic. I really love the Umbral Flames in concept. I just felt they were very clunky to use before, so I think this patch could potentially give the flames a little bit more viability in that. So first off, the attacks are stronger and faster. Your Omega attack channels faster and uses less magic. Your special now gives a speed boost, but has reduced damage, and the Omega special can be channeled while moving. Then you'll see that they also changed the Umbral Flames Eos. Now this one I was sad about before I got to play it. I really liked the Eos because before you would dash and all of your attacks would come back towards you. They have moved that to a Daedalus Hammer so any of the flame aspects can have it, and now they have reworked the Eos Flames. Your Omega attack now fires a slow shot that occasionally creates a damage blast and also copies your special. Let me show you how this works. First things first, at rank 3, it has 150 blast damage. This scales to 175 at rank 4 and 200 at rank 5. So, let's talk just on the Eos aspect first. You now channel, and it costs 10 to get this little guy who just occasionally blasts everything and moves through the arena. I don't know if he has enemy tracking or anything like that. I've seen him take some weird turns occasionally. He moves slower, faster. I don't really know if he just has weird interactions with Skelly. I haven't been able to play him in a round, but overall he does good damage. 250 at max rank is pretty strong, but the best part is that he also uses your special attacks. Now you can only have one of these up at a time, but it does have some awesome potential to get some really good bursting special attacks. But even better than that, he also copies your Omega special and your normal specials that you can spam afterwards. I think this has so much damage potential. I really love the idea of it. But let's talk about the normal Eos in general. Let's go ahead and say actually, we'll use the aspect of Millennium because I think the Moros ones also have a great change that it's not really documented in the patch notes, but I'll show you how it goes. So, aspect of Millennium, just using the normal attack for the base flame changes. You fire a little bit faster. Your Omega only costs 3, and look at how quickly you can throw off your Omega attack now. It's so much faster. You still move pretty slow overall, but the attacks just fly out now. And for only a cost of 3, you can really use that so much more. But let's talk about Moros. So Moros, let me go ahead and read. The attacks linger for 6 seconds, and explode in a blast if struck by your special. This scales up to 60% at rank 5. So let's just go ahead and throw out some of these attacks, and you'll see they're just going to go ahead and linger there, waiting for our special to hit them. And if we hit them with our special now, because of how many we can throw, I just feel like this has such burst potential. You can just stack up a bunch of these, and 828 damage for nothing. It's a very niche idea, but just being able to just essentially lay down a bunch of mines and hit them all off at the same time, it's very fun. I can't get over how much glory that is with how fast you can attack now. I think these are great changes. I really want to play the Eos build. I think this little ghost turret could potentially be insane. Next up, the Moonstone Axe. Reworked the special provides a lingering barrier. The Omega attack channels slightly faster, and the Omega special channels faster as well. All of these are nice little changes. You kind of notice that they're not significant amount faster on the Omegas, you'll see here in a moment, but they did change two of the aspects. Both Millennium and Thanatos were reworked. Millennium now adds power and max life instead of the previous recovers faster after attacking, and the Thanatos Axe now is faster attacks, and they add a critical chance to your Omega moves when you hit. So instead of previously where you had to use your Omega moves to build up a crit chance, you now use your normal attacks to build up Omega crit chance specifically. Let's go ahead and show that. So Millennium Axe, 35 power and max health at rank 5. Honestly, just makes it a little bit easier to use the axe. I think a lot of newer players or less skilled players will really enjoy this. I think axe is one of my favorite weapons, but it does hurt a little bit more to use it. You take unnecessary hits. So I think just giving max health and additional power just for existing is a great change. Makes the attack do 75 damage at base. Great. Your mega attacks do channel slightly faster. It's not insanely noticeable. It is a little bit better. And of course, your special channels faster as well. You do get a weird barrier. I don't understand. It feels like you don't guard as long, but maybe that's only because you're not getting hit by something. But it does cast a lot faster. It's got a little bit quicker response time, so I think that's good. I think that alone can make the Charon Axe feel a little bit better, just because you will be able to proc your Omega a little bit easier, get a little bit of extra damage out of that. The biggest change, though, is the Thanatos Axe. Your attack speed is 30% faster at max rank. That's actually a significant amount. You now have mortality, which is just the new way of saying you get a crit bonus as long as you don't get hit. You get that from your standard attacks, and then your Omega moves are now what gets crit. So this doesn't just give crit to everything. It only gives you crit on your Omega attacks. You'll see at the bottom there, my percentage is going up. It'll go up to 13%. And then it'll make it so any of your Omega moves now have at least a 13% crit chance. Get a decent amount of crits out of it. I think this is a great change. I think the attack speed feels nice. Thanatos Axe is definitely the strongest aspect in my eyes. And last but not least is the Argent Skull change. Your Omega attack channels faster and hits a larger area. Just a great quality of life. It does feel a little bit better. The area is a lot bigger. It's a lot easier to hit everything. We'll take a look at that. But the other aspect change that the skull had was the Persephone change. And I'm sorry, I just really do not get this aspect. Maybe I'm just not understanding something. But you can now earn glory much faster, but only by using your Omega cast. It has improved control responsiveness during your Omega special. My problem with this is, let's look. Of course, my testing is skewed. I have not run anything with Persephone's skull yet here, but the problem I have is the Omega cast only gives you a little bit of sliver of your charge there for your glory if you hit something. I'm assuming that if you hit more than one things with the Omega cast, it'll give you more, but you need to do so many of them to get this fully charged. I will go ahead and charge it up here. Honestly, it took me like a dozen casts to get here. And now that I have glory, I can use my special attack. I turn it into the little skull, and I can move around for a lot longer. That's really cool, but I think this only really is good against a ton of enemies. I think it's really bad for bossing, just because of how long it takes you to charge up. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. But overall, I think the Skull's Omega attack getting a lot bigger of a range and a lot quicker of a charge was great. I think this makes the Skull a little bit stronger just for wave clearing, a little easier to hit the bosses as well. I do like this change. I just don't think Persephone's Skull is still good enough. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. If you think I'm bad at the game and you know how to play Persephone's Skull, please let me know. Keepsakes, Moonbeam got buffed. Good. Selene is probably one of the weirdest boons, in my opinion, still. I think she has such potential to be amazing, especially if you can build out the entire skill tree. But she just feels weird as an addition. So I'm not going to go through every single Daedalus Hammer upgrade change directly, but I will say overall, they did remove a decent amount of hammers and replace them with ones that just seemed a little bit better. I think that overall, looking through these, there are a lot of ones that I'm really excited to get and try out. Unfortunately, because there are so many, and I mean there are a lot, I won't be able to know all of them for this particular video, but I would just encourage people to go out and try them out. A couple of ones that I'm looking at, let's see here, we've got the Flames one that I was talking about. Your dash to make your shots from your attacks reverse direction and hit foes again. So this was the old Eos aspect. That looks really good. Overall, I think they got rid of some of the ones that just didn't feel good and felt, honestly, some of them were bad to get. You were disappointed, which I never think is the point of a Daedalus Hammer. I think Daedalus Hammers should all be exciting and really fun to get. So I'm happy that they put this many new ideas into the game. The Hexes of Selene change is the weirdest one to me. As I mentioned her just a second ago, I feel like she's in a weird position where she's not as strong as you'd want her to be, but at the same time, she is insanely strong if you fully invest into her. So I think they made it so you can use a lot of her spells quicker. They reduced magic spend, slightly increased the spend requirement, and reduced the healing. I think Moonwater just got a hard nerf, but at the same time, I did see people running 7 Moonwaters that were healing and giving them magic, so I definitely understand it was very strong in that aspect. I don't know. I don't know about these changes. I don't play enough Selene because I don't really enjoy her mechanic that much. I think overall some of these were good buffs, but there were a couple of nerfs that came out in here as well. Maybe with the change to her Keepsake, they needed a little bit of nerf. Foes and encounters. Chronos, various fixes and adjustments. There should be fewer cases where he's patently unfair. I agree. There were a lot of times that I just got very frustrated with Chronos fight, especially when you can't just insta-burst him. He had a lot of moves that just felt really unfair. Let's see if that actually changes some of those. Cerberus got some adjustments to his attack patterns in the first phase. Again, hopefully just kind of reducing those weird, unfair patterns. Ares grenades no longer wildly bounce. Fantastic. The mutant sheep in Polyphemus got nerfed. Good. They were annoying. I hate them. Some of the ones that can just attack you, the fact that they're invulnerable, just kind of frustrating. Some of them are funny, but sometimes you just get beat up by some sheep, man. I don't know. Couple little minor boss changes and minor enemy changes. Nothing too crazy. Good things. Again, buffing Driftwood for the second time. Good. Driftwood is still hard to get, but it's not like you need a ton of it. It just make your upgrades a little bit faster. Making so that the oil slicks can be extinguished and reignited between encounters on the boats. Good. They were just kind of annoying sometimes where you're just trying to run through and just getting set on fire. Let's see here. I know a lot of people will be upset about the Oath of the Unseen change here. The Vow of Forsaking no longer helps ensure you get duo or legendary boons. I'm sorry, everybody that was enjoying it, but this is a good change. It shouldn't be that a fear is making it easier to get better boons. It's supposed to make your runs hard. So unfortunately, that one makes sense. Of course, we've got a bunch of new changes with UI stuff, some keepsakes, weapons, Well of Charon offerings, all have new UI icons. Let's see here. We've got just some art and visual effects, music and sound effects, voice and narrative lines. Get a couple of new unique lines in here. While brooding over your family portrait, you can leave sooner, so you don't have to fully brood every time. You can just take a little bit of time to brood. You can control the game using the keyboard only if you rebind attack. Oh, okay, so you can do not mouse, you could do just keyboard. Okay, that's an interesting change. All timers now pause while in the presence of Heron. This means your shops will pause. This is a great change. This will make speedrunning just a little bit easier. Some other minor changes here. The Anvil of Fates won't be there if you don't have a Daedalus hammer. Just makes sense. An absolute ton of bug fixes, just little things here and there that I'm sure some people have experienced, and they were just little frustrating fixes. Overall, though, these patch notes are fantastic. I really love that we've gotten 2 updates already in the span of 1 month since the game has been out. Every 2 weeks getting an update. They are not just minor updates as well. They are listening to the community and putting in great changes and modifications that just make the game even more fun. We got new artwork already. I am so excited for the game to continue. I love Supergiant so much. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. Please like the video, and I hope you're having a great time in Hades 2.